Well, hello, lovelies. As promised, our meal prep extravaganza continues today with 5 awesome, new and delicious ways to get you back to work and back to school in style. Now, if you haven't checked it out already, I have actually compiled all of these meal prep ideas in one handy dandy downloadable PDF that you can get for free through my website. I will link it in the description box below so you can have all of them on hand whenever you need them. I also want to remind you that we have brand new episodes of my new series, Friday Night Supper Club, with my dear friend Alicia. If you have not checked out some of our latest episodes, I highly recommend you do. We've done lemon meringue pie, we've done deep fried ice cream. It has been delicious. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend you do. And now, without further ado, let's get to our meal prep. We're kicking things off today with one of my very favorites. It is a sun-dried tomato pesto pasta, and we're gonna get started by making our pesto from scratch. Now, of course, you can always buy sun-dried tomato pesto, but you wouldn't believe how easy it is to do if you just have a food processor hanging out in your kitchen. I'm getting started by adding my sun-dried tomatoes to the bowl of my food processor. To that, I'm going to add some basil, some fresh Parmesan, some garlic, of course, because it wouldn't be pesto anything without a good helping of garlic. I've got some pine nuts headed in here. Always nice to toast your pine nuts if you are putting them in pesto. That makes things extra delicious. And then I'll season things up really simply with some red pepper flakes and some salt and pepper. I'll get the lid on my food processor and get this blending. Once it starts to break down, it is time to add our oil. It's always important to add your oil while it's blending so you get a really nice texture with your pesto. And it's really that simple. Presto, you've got pesto, ladies and gentlemen. And that means, of course, it is time to cook our pasta. In this case, I'm using some fusilli, but you can use any pasta you like. Once our pasta is cooked, we can just go ahead and drain it, and then we will toss it with our homemade pesto sauce and some finely chopped baby spinach. I love to sneak some greens in when I can. I am also going to pile in some asparagus spears that I just steamed up really simply. I like steaming my asparagus just until it turns bright green. Nobody likes mushy asparagus. You want it to retain a little bit of its crunch. And then we will toss it, and I'm going to start to construct my meal prep box. I'm going to pile in my pasta, of course. Then I'll top it with some bocconcini cheese, one of my all-time favorite cheeses. It's a fresh mozzarella. And I'll finish it off with some chopped cherry tomatoes. Now, the best part about this meal prep is that it can be enjoyed either cold, straight from the fridge, or you can heat it up in the microwave and that bocconcini will start to melt and get ooey, gooey, and delicious. So you really can't go wrong. Next, guys, I have a nice fresh take on traditional chicken salad. We're actually going to be making Sonoma chicken salad wraps. This is inspired by the Sonoma chicken salad at Whole Foods, but you won't believe how easy it actually is to make at home. We're going to start by whipping up a really simple but delicious poppy seed dressing. Now, for this chicken salad, we're actually going to use the poppy seed dressing to replace the traditional mayo, so it keeps things a little lighter. Now, I'm starting with some plain yogurt in my bowl. To that, I'm going to add some apple cider vinegar, as well as a little bit of honey for sweetness. You could also do this with agave if you wanted to. I'm adding some poppy seeds here as well, and then a little salt and pepper. We'll give this a good whisk and then set it aside while we construct our chicken salad. Now, as you can see, I've got some cooked shredded chicken here. You could totally cook your own chicken if you want to, or just use a rotisserie chicken from the supermarket and shred it all up. To that, I am adding some beautiful grapes that I've cut in half and some finely chopped pecans, which add a ton of delicious crunch. I'll finish it with some fresh thyme leaves and my poppy seed dressing, and then give it all a good toss until it's well coated. Then we are ready to construct our meal prep box. Now, in this case, my intention is to enjoy this chicken salad in some lettuce wraps, but of course you could always do this with some tortilla or some pita if you wanted to. I love using Boston Bib as my lettuce wraps. I think they make the perfect shape for a really delicious lettuce wrap. I'll pile my lettuce into my box with my chicken salad and then round it out with some beautiful slices of orange. And come on, that is a lunch you can feel really good about. It is protein packed, it is low carb if you're watching your carbs, and it also happens to be pretty delicious. Next up, I'm doing a meal prep that's a little more on the hearty side. I'm calling it my Deconstructed Shepherd's Pie. So it's all the goodness of a traditional shepherd's pie, but as you probably know, shepherd's pie doesn't always travel well. So in this case, I'm actually going to cook my potatoes and my beef mixture separately to create this awesome deconstructed version. What is not to like about that? We are going to start by roasting up our potatoes. So I've got some red skin potatoes that I've just finely diced. I'm just going to toss these in a little bit of olive oil, some garlic powder, some freshly chopped rosemary, and some salt and pepper. Give that all a good zhuzh so they're well coated, and then get them into the oven for 30 to 35 minutes or until they're nice and tender and golden. You'll want to flip them regularly during the cooking process to make sure they cook evenly on all sides. While my potatoes are cooking away, I'm going to get started on my beef mixture. Now, because we are making deconstructed shepherd's pie, instead of using traditional ground beef in this recipe, I'm actually using some stewing beef that I've cut into 1/2-inch cubes. I'm gonna start by heating up some oil in my skillet. Once that oil is nice and hot, I'll get my beef into the pan, season it up with some salt and pepper, and then brown it until it is nice and golden on all sides. Next, I'm going to add my onion to the pan. Once my onion is nice and soft, after 2 or 3 minutes, I'll add my minced garlic to the pan. Then I'll add my frozen veggies to the pan and get those heated through before I add my all-purpose flour to the pan. Now, the idea of adding flour to this is that it's going to help us create a nice thick sauce. It's gonna act as a thickener. We'll let that flour cook up while we're stirring this constantly for about a minute. And then it will be time to go ahead and add the rest of our delicious ingredients. So I've got some beef broth heading in here, some Worcestershire sauce, some tomato paste, some fresh rosemary and thyme, and of course, some salt and pepper. We'll let this mixture simmer away for 3 to 5 minutes or until it thickens up and starts to reduce slightly. And it's that simple, guys. As soon as that mixture is ready, we can go ahead and start shepherding all of those ingredients together into our meal prep box. I'm gonna start with my beef mixture, and then to that, I'm going to add some lightly steamed green beans. Love green beans, I could put them in everything. And then I will pile in my beautiful roasted potatoes. And how awesome does this look? Such an amazing way to get your lunch on. You can reheat it in the microwave for just a minute or two. And like so many great beef dishes, this one is actually best the next day. So it really is perfect for meal prep. Next up, for you vegetarians out there, I have got a really tasty teriyaki tofu meal prep. And I'm gonna get started by making some simple teriyaki sauce. I'm doing this by mixing up some vegetable broth with some soy sauce, some honey, a little garlic and ginger, and finally some cornstarch. The cornstarch is gonna help this thicken up as it cooks. We'll whisk this all together and then get cooking. I've got some sesame oil heating up in a skillet on my stove, and to that I am going to add some extra firm tofu. Now, for best results here, you wanna make sure that you are using extra firm tofu. It holds up the best during the cooking process. I'm going to cook my tofu on all sides until it gets nice and golden, and then I am going to pour over my sauce. Because my pan is nice and hot, my sauce is gonna heat up right away and start to bubble. That is a very good sign. What we're looking for is for the sauce to thicken up and get really nice and syrupy so that it's able to coat all of that incredible tofu. Once that tasty tofu is ready, I'm going to set it aside and get to work on an incredible side salad that right now I actually just can't get enough of because it's so fresh and crunchy and delicious. This one starts with some steamed snap peas. Snap peas are by far one of my very favorite vegetables these days, so I really do put them in a lot of things. To that, I'm also going to add some shredded carrot as well as some shelled edamame beans, which I love. And then I'm going to dress this simply with some rice vinegar, some sesame oil, some soy sauce, and a little bit of agave for sweetness. I'm going to add some sesame seeds for good measure, and then give this all a toss until it is well mixed. Then it is time to construct our meal prep box. I'm going to do this by piling in my tofu on one side, and then I'm going to load in some cooked rice on the other side. I'm going to also add my lovely salad and finish this all off with another good helping of sesame seeds. So super good, so super easy, completely vegetarian, but totally filling. That is a lot to love. Finally, for you fish lovers out there, I am making a spicy pineapple salmon that I can't get enough of. To start, I am going to whip up a simple sweet and spicy marinade for my salmon. It all starts with some pineapple juice. To that, I'm going to add some soy sauce, some honey, some sriracha, and some freshly chopped cilantro. I'll also add a good helping of both ginger and garlic. I'll give that a good whisk and then get my salmon fillet nice and well coated, and then get this into the refrigerator for at least an hour. But of course, as with any marinade, the longer it sits, the tastier it becomes. So hey, if you've got 2 or 3 hours, let it sit in there for 2 or 3 hours. When it's time to cook our salmon, it's really simple. I'm going to lay it out on a baking sheet and get it into the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for between 12 and 15 minutes, or until it's fully cooked to your liking. You'll know it's ready when it flakes easily with a fork. Now, while that salmon is cooking, you can be proactive and start working on your amazing pineapple salad, which is just a matter of combining some chopped cucumber with some chopped pineapple, a little bit of red onion, some finely chopped cilantro, and the juice of 1 lime. Doesn't that sound amazing? Give everything a good toss until it is well combined. Then we are ready to construct our meal prep box. I'm going to lay down some green leaf lettuce on the bottom, pile in my salsa on one side and my salmon on the other. Now this is meant to be eaten cold, but if you did want to, you could always remove the salmon from the dish and heat it up in the microwave if you wanted it hot. Both are great options. This meal prep is fresh, crunchy, sweet, savory, a little bit spicy thanks to that sriracha. It basically does it all. Lovelies, I hope you found all 5 of these meal preps inspiring and that they help you step up your lunch game this season. If you give any of them a try, as always, I want to hear from you. Tweet me, Instagram me, or Snapchat me a photo because I love seeing your kitchen creations. As promised, I have compiled all of these tasty recipes in a single downloadable PDF that is available on my website. I have left a link in the description box below for you. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from.